Welcome to the next podcast, guys.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you do that by yourself. I wasn't going to help you.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast, guys. We are now going to be talking about an anime that we actually seen recently called Beastars.
Yeah, and sorry if you can hear other people. We live in a basement.
And we have...
They stomp all over the ceiling.
And they have company over. Anyway, this is an anime that we actually saw recently, last 2 days actually, so this is still fresh in our minds.
Yeah.
We wanted to do this one as soon as we finished it because oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about with this one. Not as much as the BoJack podcast, but this is probably going to be one of the shorter videos we do.
I feel like you have a lot more to talk about this than I do, considering you actually have an anime background, and by God, that's the cringiest shit that I have to hear say out of my mouth.
You shush! Anyway, so for those who don't know, Beastars is an anime that came out this year. And it's basically an anime, a bit more of an intense anime version of Zootopia. So you have anthropomorphic animals living in society, but except Zootopia where they all lived in harmony, these guys kind of are divided between the carnivores and the herbivores. So you have the carnivores the wolves, the foxes, the dogs, stuff like that. As the carnivores, and then you have the herbivores the deer, llamas, alpacas, bunnies, stuff like that. And they're all live in. This one takes place in a school, but they do have some stuff that happens outside the school. But the main plot of Beastars is about a wolf named Legoshi. He is, I'm pretty sure he's a junior, if I remember right. I think he's a junior. Yeah. Because he's 17, so I think he's
17.
So he's 17 years old. He's a junior. I don't know how Japanese schools work, but I'm assuming he's a junior based on American standards.
Some high school thing.
Okay. Well, Japan could have different things. I don't know.
Anyway,
it's about Legoshi trying to fit in high school. He's a carnivore and tends to kind of keep to himself. He's trying to not let his animal instincts take over him a lot of other characters have in this show. And he ends up meeting a bunny named Haru, who is a senior in high school, and they kind of have a little bit of a connection and stuff. And it's basically about him trying to fit in with society and trying to befriend the herbivores and not go crazy about stuff.
Having a lot of inner monologues because he's a teenage wolf boy.
Yes, so
I don't know if that's just anime in general where they have a lot of deep monologues. Because fun fact, this is the second anime.
Yeah, this is the second anime you've seen. JC. Okay, so just so you guys know. JC did not watch a lot of anime growing up. I happened to watch a lot of anime.
I did.
I've seen Pokemon growing up. I've seen Cardcaptor Sakura.
You know what the extent of my anime knowledge is?
Literally 2 anime.
2 Ghibli movies and
That's it.
2 Ghibli movies. I saw Little Witch Academia, and now I've seen this.
Well, you've seen Agretsuko as well, and that counts as anime.
Yeah, I've seen Agretsuko. I've seen season 1 of Attack on Titan, but that's about it. That's all I get.
Well, I've seen literally over, I think, at least 20-something anime.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Pokemon, I've seen Cardcaptor Sakura, I've seen, what's another one I've seen? I've seen a couple other ones here and there, but most of the ones I've seen are kind of lower, not as well-known ones. I have seen Otsumatsu-san as well, which is a bit more of a mainstream one. I tend to go for the more not as well-known anime, but that's me.
Yeah, but I guess it does, to me, like, it wouldn't matter if it was an anime or not. Like, as long as it's good entertainment, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah. So since JC doesn't have as much thoughts about it first, I suggest you do yours first, because I want to hear your thoughts about this first.
On the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay, I feel like if I was a lot younger and if I didn't, like, because I'm normally a sucker for these types of stories. I'm normally a sucker for, like, two opposite people who try to find love, even though, like, that love, like, is probably
impossible.
In not the best situation or, like, different circumstances. Not really so much in a Romeo and Juliet type way where their families are trying to, like, not get them, like...
It's more along the lines of, like,
I'm
society.
a sucker for those as well, but I'm, like... and also society, but I'm more of a sucker for interpersonal, like, you know, relationship dramas. I love that type of shit. And I think, you know, if it's done well, it could be, like, some of the best entertainment out there. I don't know. It's just one of the... I don't think this really connected as much as I wanted it to connect. Because, hey, like, you know, it's this type of story, but with animals. And, like, I should like it. Like, because I'm probably not as big of a fan as Utopia you are, but I still really enjoy it. But with this... I don't know. I don't know what was throwing me off from not, like, fully enjoying it. Because as a stan, it's more like an okay show with some really, really good elements.
Yeah, there's a lot of good elements in this anime. Like, first thing, this is one of the first 3D animes I've seen. Most of the animes that I've seen have been 2-dimensional, like 2D. You've seen a couple 2D, not really a lot. But this is the first 3D animated one I've seen. And they've actually did really good with it. Like, I feel like they did really good with the effects. I liked all the perspectives and how they did the camera angles and stuff. Like, they didn't seem, like, too junky, like, kind of thing. But,
well, you could clearly tell that they did some rotoscoping on the anatomy, because it's human body that they're anatoming, but they also have to add the faces, how you would draw all these different animals, like, all these different faces, and, like, how they would move and stuff on, like, on human bodies, pretty much. So you focus on the human body of the anatomy whenever it's moving, but you also have to pay attention to, like how animalistic their, like, you know, features are and stuff like that. Like, which is one of the things that I honestly really, like, enjoy about this. Like, I love the style. I love how, like, the lighting can just be so fucking amazing. Like, this is, like, probably one of the best lit, like, not lit as in I'm saying cool, but I'm saying, like, the best lighting effects that I think I've ever, like, seen in this type of, like, you know, animation genre, where they can just get so... It can get so colorful at points. It can get, like, you know, there could be one color mainly in the background that they're silhouetting and stuff like that. And it just seems, like, so natural, but can, like, also express the mood of how it is, like, how the characters are feeling. And I know that's just, like, oh, that's just typical for animation in general. But here it's, like, I don't know, maybe because it's, like, you know, it's a 2D on, like, it's like 2D I guess facial textures and 3D rotoscoping type anatomy. I think they can experiment more with that, because the lighting is just gonna, like, bounce off a 3D character. So I think that it's, like, you know, really, really good for animation, for this show to do that. for this type of animation to do that. And that was one of the things that I was like impressed with when I first saw the because there was a couple of tests. I guess I wouldn't say tests. Animation tests. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Animation tests that I saw going around Twitter a few years ago about this show that was coming out. I think it was like 2 years ago, and they were showing like I think the first thing I saw was like the first scene of the show, and then the scene where Legoshi and what was that deer character's name?
I think it's Louis.
Louis Rufus,
something like that.
Louis
Rufus
is grabbing his tail and stuff like that. That was the first time I ever saw anything like that, and I was like, this could work. And I see where I saw where it didn't look right because there were animation tests, so they had to go back and probably render that out more or fix certain parts of it more. And man, does it come out in the final product. Yeah, I think they did really, really good with how the anatomy of animals on top of human body, because it's very BoJack Horseman-like, but it's a very much more realistic version of that.
Yeah, it's basically what I was saying before. It's like a mix of Zootopia with all the animals living together, yet at the same time, it's kind of similar to how BoJack does the animal characters in the show, except it doesn't have there's no human characters in this anime at all. So it kind of leans more toward the Zootopia aspects, while at the same time, it does have those things with BoJack, kind of the style-wise. So I can see where you're getting out of BoJack, but it's not completely like BoJack. One of the things I liked about this anime was that I liked the chemistry between some of the characters. I liked the monologues like you did and stuff like that.
Well, I think we have opposite opinions about that, to be completely honest.
I thought you'd liked the monologues, though.
I would like it if I was a different... if they weren't probably as frequent as they probably were. Because I'm a fan of that. But for some reason, everything that I'm normally a fan of, I kind of something was making me not like it as much as normal.
It's probably because of the way that they were doing it. It was a bit more frequent than most anime I've seen. It depends on the anime. Some anime do more monologues and stuff in it to kind of
also
give you more detail.
Kind of depend on what they were talking about, to be honest, because there's some monologues in here and interpersonal thoughts that go through the characters' heads that I actually mostly Legoshi, because he fucking talks he's giving a speech, I guess some of the things where he said where they're performing the play and one of the students claws his back, there is going
to be spoilers in this, just so you know.
There's going to be spoilers. I felt that monologue. I also felt it in the last 2 episodes, because I really think the last 2 episodes were the best
ones out of the whole thing.
Well, yeah, that's where okay, this shit is really going. Okay, I want to see it. And then it ended, and I'm like, okay, I wanted to see more of that, but
you're probably going to see more of it. So here's the thing. This anime has 12 episodes in it, and we did see at the end of it. If you guys look at the end of it, this is a spoiler, but if you do watch after the credits of this anime, they do say see you in season 2. So we do know now that there is going to be a season 2 for this anime, which I'm excited about. In my opinion, I'm kind of excited.
I'm excited for it, but I'm looking forward to seeing it and how it goes, because I really do think that this was a slow burn. It was a very, very slow burn, and I want to see relationships already starting. I think we got to the point where we see the relationship, we see relationships starting to blossom and bloom, but I want to see the point where a relationship has started and it's already
you kind of already see that though with Haru and Lewis a little bit, don't you? a little bit.
Haru and Lewis. Well, yeah, but the thing about it is, I don't think he was gonna take that relationship seriously either way.
Which is kind of sad because Haru actually really liked him, and it's sad. Like, just so you guys know, Haru is 18, but I'm gonna be honest with her, she is a slut. She is a slut. I'm not gonna, like, dumb that down. She is a slut. And I'm not trying to, like, demean her character or anything. It's just, she slept with a lot of people in that high school. She slept with a lot of people. Lewis happens to be one of them. Heck, she almost slept with Legoshi.
Like, I mean, yeah, because that's the only way that she could communicate with, I guess, animals that are bigger than her. That's the only way she can feel somewhat of superior, if she gets them to sleep with her. So, when they revealed that in the second to last episode, I was like, okay, this shit's getting interesting. And when they finally revealed Lewis's, I guess, like, you know, backstory, where he came from and stuff like that, and explained how, I guess, this messed up society works and stuff like that, and, like, you can, like, you have to rise against a society where everything is, like, wherever, not everything is going against you, but you have to rise against predators who don't see you as their equal. So, like, I found that all interesting and stuff like that, but I only felt it because of the fact that the dialogue didn't seem like, I felt it because the dialogue it was starting to become a little bit more sharper with it in, like, the last 2 episodes, and I was like, okay, I think I can get used to this now, like, you know. And if it goes like that in the second season, I think I will, like, love it a lot more than I do now, because right now, like, you know, it's good, you know, it's a good little anime. I just don't think that, like, you know,
it's as good as I think it is.
Well, yeah, but I just don't think that it's hard to explain. Even though it has the right properties for it to be, like, you know, my type of tea, because I love this type of shit. I love these tropes. For some reason, and I've yet to figure out why,
you don't like this.
I can't get into it as much. I can't really get into it as much. And I think it was just because the fact that it did a lot of telling.
More than showing.
And more than showing a lot of the time.
I feel like they were probably doing that just to kind of build you up with this. I think they're trying to build up the stuff, because it did mention there's going to be a season 2. So maybe season 1 was kind of just like, okay, we're going to build this all up, and then in season 2, then it's going to start getting interesting.
Well, yeah, but, you know, but I haven't read the manga. I doubt that you've read the manga.
No, I haven't. So. I'm one of those people, like, I either watch the anime and never read the manga, or I read the manga and never watch the anime.
And you know what? If this is cool, this is fine, because I was like, well, they are in high school, so I understand why they keep on talking, like, to themselves, like it's the end of the fucking world all the time. I understand that. Who wasn't like that during high school? So I understand why the dialogue is like that. I'm just saying that's dialogue that's not meant for me. Or if you are gonna do it in very sprouts. Do it in, like, small little sprouts, and occasionally do it in one big thing where something huge is happening and stuff like that. And if you count how many times they go into inner monologue besides just talking in the show, did you feel like there was more monologuing than there was actual dialogue?
Yeah, like, most of the episodes were just monologuing compared to the dialogue. Like, Legoshi obviously had the most when it came to the series because he's, like, one of the main characters. Mm-hmm. But Haru had at least a couple of them, but not as much as him. He tended to have the most of them. All the other characters either had very little bit or not as much as Legoshi did. Like,
yeah, and I'm like, the thing about it is, it's like, I know it's kind of difficult to animate over, like, animalistic facial expressions and stuff like that, but, I think they could do it. Even though, like, of course it's going to be lip sync because the original language is in Japanese. Or, I think...
Yeah, Japanese, it started in Japan. It originally started in Japan. Like, most anime start in Japan. So, it's going to start in Japanese and then make its way to other languages. Like, I know that it goes to English first and then it'll go to, like, French and Spanish. But I don't know how French and Spanish dubs work, but I do know... It always goes... Most of the time, they will go to English dub. It depends on how popular the anime is. If the anime is popular in Japan enough to where other countries want to see it, then they'll dub it. Yeah. But if it's not as popular as other ones, it'll just stay in sub.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's the fact that we did watch the English dub of this, if it would be more powerful if it was in the Japanese.
Well, some of them are pretty good. Like, from what I've seen... Like, an example of Gretsuko, both the English dub and the English sub were both really good. Yeah. Like, they were both really good.
Do you think that, like, because we haven't seen the Japanese, recording of the original language. Do you think it would have been more better if it was?
Most of the time when it comes to anime, like, a lot of people tend to prefer the sub over the dub. It kind of depends.
If you want to read that day.
Yeah, because, like, to be honest, there are some times where I don't like reading it. Like, I don't like reading because it's
especially
way too
on
fast.
Our small TV where you could barely see it and I have to put on my glasses.
Yeah, like, we have, like, a small TV. We ended up watching this on our TV, so it's kind of small for us to see it. And we have stuff that kind of blocks the bottom of it, so that's not really, like, something we would prefer doing. So I thought doing the English dub would be a bit better on you so you can see it.
Well, when you're looking at words and you're looking at images at the same time,
it's kind of hard sometimes.
I'm not saying that it can. I'm not saying that it fully takes away from the fact that, like, you have to be looking at words and looking at images at the same time. Like, for me, like, I noticed the fact that when you sometimes have to look at the words on the screen, it takes away from, like, the images on screen that are honestly beautiful. Like, it's beautiful animation and stuff like that. So don't want to take away from animation where, like, the ultimate thing of animation is that you look at the animation and you look at how beautiful it is and you look at how, like, the, like, character's facial expression. And I don't want to ruin that by just looking at the words. Like, I want to actually see it. So, I mean... I guess it just depends on everybody, and everybody just assumes that, like, subbed is better because it's much more better acted. I'm sure it is because, it's Japanese own language, and, like, it's their, expressions, and it's their voice acting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it would have been, like, a lot more bearable because we're dumb Americans and we don't speak Japanese.
Yeah, so, like, we're not gonna understand it if they don't have, like, subtitles. Personally, because I don't know Japanese, JC doesn't know Japanese, so... I thought
some sign language, though.
I know a little bit, but here's the thing. I actually liked that they had an English dub of this. I feel like you watching the English dub at first would probably be a better idea.
Well, I felt much more better watching Arezuko because of the fact that it's just such a simplistic, like, it's more like simplicity and stuff like that, and
I'm trying to start you.
It's more of a cartoonish type. Like, animation with Arezuko that I wouldn't be bothered if I, like, watched it in Japanese instead of that, because of the fact of how Arezuko, like, is designed. Yeah. And, like, I wouldn't mind doing that because, Arezuko's mostly about, like, humorous, like, designs and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, this one's more, like, serious.
More realistic.
I wanted to, like, when I was trying to introduce JC into anime, I wanted to start the stuff off simple. I kind of wanted you to watch, like, simple anime first before we got into, like, more intense anime like this.
Which is weird because I only watched one of them.
I know, but I'm trying to ease you into it. So maybe the next time I show you an anime, it'll probably be like a different kind of anime, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's go over some questions and then we'll give our like final thoughts on it and like a rating. Right. So, who is your favorite character in this? I want to know who your favorite character is.
I don't know if I have a favorite character.
You don't know if you have
because
a favorite?
I didn't really get attached to much any characters, and that's the problem. The fact that I didn't really get attached to any of the characters in the show, which is like, you know, something to where I want to feel. I want to feel attachment to these characters, but I felt like I was just I was watching characters and I was admiring, like, you know, how they looked, how they moved, like the voice acting from like the English dub. I thought some lines were delivered like really great, but
some were kind of delivered poorly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like whenever, like, I guess Legoshi, like, I get the fact that he's a loner and he's the, like, you know, like the intention was that he's a loner. He's not good with people, so he's gonna be like. He's going to talk really weird. He's going to talk like, you know...
He's going to talk like he's talking to himself.
Yeah, he's going to talk like he's talking to himself instead of, like, you know, like he's talking to an actual person in front of him. And I get that.
Okay.
But it's like, I don't know. I don't know what's throwing me off about that. I don't know what's throwing... Mostly it was Legoshi that was, like, throwing me off. The rest of the thing was, like, fine. But I don't know, like... I didn't really get attached. Like, the only one who I thought I was, like, attached to, and that's because they introduced his like backstory a little bit. I was a little bit attached to what Lewis was like doing and what was going on with his story and stuff like that. Like, it's not the fact that that it wasn't the fact that. Like, I really like his character. It's not that. It's just the fact that he had a much more interesting conflict going on in his head. So I wanted to know how that was. And then it cut off. Like, at the point where it was like, oh, I guess I was starting to feel some type of, like, interesting plot go with you. But then it cut off and said, oh, you gotta find out in season 2 what's gonna happen. And I'm like... I wish we gotten more of that. Because, like, I found him, I guess, to be the more interesting character, but not by much.
I feel like you're more leaning toward Lewis as your favorite character. I feel like that's
not really my favorite. He
but
was
like,
just more
the character
interesting.
You like.
I don't even.
You don't even like him?
I like the idea of where they're going with him. Like, if they wanted to, like, take this character and, like, say that he was like a type of person who, like, wanted revenge on, like, the people who hurt him, or he wanted to be known as, like, you know, he wanted to be known as, like, the next Beastar, the person who can do, like, great things and stuff like that, but he, like, he's as manipulative as the carnivores who preyed on his life. Like, that's interesting to me. That's interesting to me. That's the type of shit I like. So, like, it's not the fact that he's my favorite character. It's the fact that I found his story more interesting. I found his story a lot more interesting than the main two characters, which is really weird. It's really weird.
So, yeah. I guess my favorite character that I pretty much like... I actually liked Haru a lot. Like, even though she kind of didn't have, like, the best looking, like, life or whatever. Like, she was, like, a dwarf rabbit. She was, like, one of the, like, the weaker species and stuff in the food chain. But I actually liked...
I think I would like Haru if they put a little bit more snark into her character. And if she wasn't, like, I would like Haru a lot more if there wasn't, like... If she was more, I guess...
What's the word?
I said snark, but it's like...
Snooty?
Sarcastic.
Okay,
like, because she clearly is used to being bullied, and she, like, you know, does her own thing and stuff like that, and, like, sleeps with she sleeps with other animals and stuff like that just to like feel superior and stuff like that. But it's one of those things to where I wish we got more of that instead of like, you know, her saying that she felt like, I guess, awkward in situations and all that stuff. Like, because, you know, normally when you're like, you know, when you get like snarky and stuff like that, but you also say you're awkward, it kind of like, you know, conflicts with that. Like, because she looks at Legoshi like she doesn't believe like a word that he says.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess that's for good reason, because Legoshi, like, you know, like talks with not the best confidence, and he talks very, like, you know, he talks very softly and slowly and all that type of stuff.
And he tends to like do the best he can to make sure his animal instincts don't come out, like the first time they met, like that.
And I guess that's why I didn't really find Legoshi that very interesting as like a character, because of the fact that
he's suppressing himself more.
He's suppressing himself, and therefore it's suppressing what I'm supposed to feel for that character. It's like, it's suppressing the audience, and like, because he's like that for most of the season. It's not like it's like, yeah, you do see some change in fact when he, like, I guess,
lets it go and then finally starts,
quote unquote, lets the beast go and stuff like that, and he starts to become a lot more confident in his love for Haru and stuff like that. But I don't know, I just wish that wasn't most of his character.
I can agree with you on that.
Although that kind of defeats the purpose of his character.
We're kind of flippy floppy about how we see like Legoshi in this.
He wasn't the most interesting character. That's why I quote. He is not the most interesting character, and like, you know, it just kind of is like, you know, a little bit of a downside that like the quote unquote main character of the show is not all that
good,
interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
And I see where he can be good. I see where he can be like, you know, this really, really, you know, good character that I want to like root for and stuff. But every time he talked, like, it was just like one of those things like, I want to like you. I want to feel your emotion, but you're not really giving me anything that your 12 monologues didn't already give me beforehand.
So yeah, that's our opinions on our favorite characters / characters that we kind of want to improve on. Okay, so can we talk about the fucking opening? The opening to this anime was amazing.
I mean, the Rake Bass animation.
Like, it looked so amazing. Like, it looked like it had a similar vibe to like Fantastic Mr. Fox and I Love Dogs like animation a little bit.
It did.
I loved it. Like, I actually liked the opening to this anime. Like, I've heard the song everywhere on TikTok, and I was like happy when I actually saw like the anime opening. Like, it was so good. I liked the anime opening and stuff like that. Like, what did you think of the opening, at least? Did you like the opening? Because I loved it.
It was cute. It's
different than what I've seen for anime. Like, most animes don't do that.
Again, it was like it was a music video type thing, but it was like, I like, you know, you're supposed to introduce, like, I guess the simple concept in, like, you know, in an opening like that, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the opening is to kind of grab your attention to the anime. It's kind of like to grab your attention.
Yeah.
So most of the time, the opening is going to be like, depending on the series, like, some of them are going to be more poppy, some of them are going to be kind of more like, you know, like toned down. It just depends. Like, the anime endings are not always the best, in my opinion.
I don't have much to say about the opening. I just thought it was like, you know, it's simple, it's short, it got to the point, and it's like, okay.
But did you like the style of it, at least?
I like the style of it, and like, you know, I guess, like, you know, I wish it was like somewhat like that. Like, it's because in the show, it keeps on jumping to, like, you know, different, like, sometimes it would go 2D, sometimes it would go, like, you know,
paper looking
animations and stuff like that. So I wish, yeah, it would have been really, really cool to see, like, stop motion. It would have been really cool to see stop motion just, like, sprinkled into the show, like, stuff like that.
Then again, if they do that, it's going to make the anime take longer to even come out.
Well, yeah, but
But I liked how they jumped with the styles, though. Like, I liked how they did that. That's one of the things that draws me to some anime, is just the way they jump into different styles.
And I feel like I get it, like, super serious dark anime about, like, a wolf and a rabbit, like, what the hell? But, I don't know, I feel like... I don't know if it's, like, I felt like this show, like, really sometimes wanted to make me, like, because the more that they explain how this world works, the more I had to laugh at it. Yeah. The more, like, it's like, this is a fucking strange society that they got going on here. But, like, I want to, like, laugh at it. I laugh at how, like, they get, like, how the different animals, like, have, like, different types of food for each other. And it's all, like, so that one doesn't discriminate over the other one. Or some, like, animals, like, take advantage of the fact that, like, different animals have,
different food.
Well, no, not different food, but, like, different lifestyles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's the type of stuff that I really enjoy watching and stuff like that. And I like the fact that they can, like have a laugh at it. Like, if they want to do more of that in season 2, and they want to, like, I guess, poke fun of the fact that, yeah, like, this animal lives, like, a completely different lifestyle and sometimes takes advantage of the system.
Yeah.
And stuff like that to get there, then I'm like, yeah, that's pretty, like, that's pretty funny to me, and I want that more to happen. I feel like, in those types of awkward situations where Legoshi and Haru, like, those are the ones that, like, the moments that made me laugh, that made me more relate to the fact, instead of, like, again, Legoshi going on his second monologue.
Okay, so let's kind of give it our final thoughts, and then we'll each give a rating. So, my final thoughts about this anime: I feel like it's good. It has its flaws, but I feel like if they're gonna do good with season 2, then I feel like they really need to work on not doing as many monologues in it. They need to, like...
Well, you're the anime expert, and you say that there's a lot more monologues than there are in actual... than there was.
Well, like, at least, like, in the ones I've seen. But, like, theirs was just a little bit different on how they approached it. But I guess overall, it's a good anime if you're trying to find something different. I feel like this is one of the different animes. Like, I feel like, at least, like, in the last couple years, I don't know if this is just, like, the ones that we just happen to find.
Oh, wait, I got another thing that I gotta mention as well.
What?
It kind of... Did you notice that the plot kind of just, like... was like what we were, like, what shiny thing, like, it's like follow the shiny ball.
Yeah.
Like, it was like that type of plot. It's like at first it starts with, like, a murder mystery type plot, and then it's like, oh no, we gotta prepare for this play. Like, oh no, we gotta prepare the festival. Oh my god, mob boss kidnaps
fucking Haru.
Fucking Haru, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Like, it kept on, like, doing that, and that's, like, I guess it's, like, a pet peeve of mine when it comes to, like, any just type story, like, slice of life type story. I'm like, yeah, like, slice of life, like, it's gonna, like, bounce from all over the place to different characters and how they're feeling and stuff and what type of situation that they're in, but... It seemed, like, so drastic that, like, once, like...
We don't get
it's barely plots. Mentioned. Like, every time they go to a different
another plot,
it's barely like, the other plot is, like, kind of barely mentioned and, like, not introduced anymore. Like, we never found out who killed that student.
Yeah.
We never found out who killed that student. We never really got to find out, like...
I think it's kind of implied that maybe the Shishigumi people may have done it, but...
Probably,
But I don't know entirely, because, like, then again, we had that one student that just tried to attack, like, Lewis. So maybe it was him.
I want to believe... I don't know. It said that... Maybe I'm just not a fan. Maybe I'm just not a fan. Like, not a fan of that type of, like, you know. I don't know if it's like that in,
it's like pickup sticks. You pick it up, put it in one pile, then pick up a little bit of another pile, and just make all these bunch of different piles, and some of them don't get finished, and
Yeah, that's actually a perfect analogy. I don't know if that's, like, common in anime. Is that common?
It depends on the series. Like, some of them, like, they're supposed to have, like, another season, but then they end up not doing it, so it kind of leaves, like, plot holes open. But it depends on the anime. Like, most of the time, they try to finish it. It just depends on how long it takes them to release another season, or if they're even getting another season.
Because I know when I was watching, I know Little Witch Academia is like a different show altogether, because that's more of a kid's show than anything. But I know when I was watching that, I did not feel, because it's a slice of life schoolgirl anime. So when I was like watching that, I was like, you know, it's a slice of life type thing. So I didn't feel like, you know, the plot needed to. I felt like the plot was, like, you know, consistent with how, like, it was.
Yeah.
I felt like the plot was consistent. It wasn't leaving, like, as much, like, plot holes, if you want to call it that, or it wasn't leaving the plot to go to the next plot.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, you know, this is also high school anime, so.
Yeah. Okay, so.
But. My thoughts more like, I find it okay. I think some elements are really good, especially the last 2 episodes. The last 2 episodes were honestly really, really good episodes. Like, I would watch the last 2 episodes if I were to go back to the show. But as for, like, you know, everything else and stuff like that, I find it okay with some good elements, and I hope that in season 2 it does not bug down with just, like, I hope it sticks to
what they were doing in season 1.
No.
Well, like, at least
I like how you try to finish my sentence.
I'm sorry.
I hope it sticks to like one thing, and it doesn't have to stick to one plot where every character's feeling the exact same emotion, because that's just not cool. But I hope it sticks to, like, you know, okay, we're gonna do this, and, like, you know, we're gonna have subplots and stuff like that, but the main focus is gonna be this for the whole show. And I might be, like, thinking really wrong about it, because in some ways I can see how a plot like this can work, especially in high school. Yeah. Like, when normally, like, you know, you'll have a student, like, you know, pass away, and people are gonna mourn them and stuff like that, and then they're just gonna move on with high school life. And yeah, I get that. I get that, but
still,
it's just kind of flip-floppy, to where most of the time I was like, wait, we're doing this now? Wait, we're going here now? I'm like, especially that mob boss thing, that was, like, you know, as cool as that was,
it was just unexpected. Like, oh, look, there's a mob boss.
Yeah, I'm like,
fuck, look at that.
The most that we got was, like, the black market, and I think that was, like, good enough. Like, you saw the outside world for a little bit, and you saw, like, how things apparently worked into society and stuff like that, and how these predators, like, you know, feed their craving and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That's cool. I don't mind that. And then they introduced, like, oh, fucking mob boss. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck is going on?
Okay.
What is going on? But then again, if they hadn't introduced that mob boss, then we wouldn't have gotten, I guess, Lewis's backstory, which is the most interesting thing to me. Yeah. But I guess we're gonna just have to figure out what happens in season 2. I'm scatterbrained. I'm all over the place. I've been drinking coffee. So am I. I've been drinking coffee this whole fucking time, so I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Okay, so let's talk about 2 more things, and then we're done, because this is almost like an hour.
Yeah.
We were trying not to make this one too long as, like, the BoJack one was. We're trying. It's just kind of hard.
Okay.
But, okay, so let's talk. Okay, what are some things, and do it briefly. Let's do brief.
Okay.
What are some things you want to happen in season 2? Go.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, then.
That's just how, but that's just up to the manga to decide. Because I did not write the fucking story. I didn't write the fucking story. That's all how it's dealt with in the manga.
Well,
They're just gonna
sometimes they don't
manga.
do stuff in the manga compared to like the anime. Sometimes stuff is changed a little bit, but they try as best as they fucking can to keep to the manga.
Okay.
Even though there's some anime series, I can name one example. Full Metal Alchemist. Mm-hmm. Originally, they took it off. They kind of went their own way from the manga, but that's because the manga wasn't finished. Yeah. But that was like for that. Which is
another show that I wouldn't mind watching. Full Metal Alchemist.
Maybe one day.
Anyway,
okay. So for me, what I will look forward to in season 2, I kind of want to know about Legoshi's backstory, because we get to see Haru's backstory a little bit. We get to see Lewis's a little bit. I kind of want to see what Legoshi was like growing up, because all we know of is that
he was a loner kid.
Well, I want to know about like his parents and stuff like that. But the only thing we know about his past is that his friend Jack was in it, like the dog. We just know him and the dog were best friends growing up. That's all we knew about Legoshi growing up. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like, we don't know anything else about his backstory. I want to know more about his backstory and where he came from and why he's a fucking loner. That's what I want to see in season 2. And I just want to see, like, since Haru's like 18 and she's technically a senior, I feel like in the season 2, she's either not going to be at the high school or she's probably going to be like trying to find a place of her own.
Beastars college years.
Or maybe they do like a gap. Maybe they could do like a gap.
They take a leap year.
Like they do like they skip a year ahead and then they're both in college.
Okay.
That would be interesting if they were both in college. That would make it better. What do you think? Would that make it a little bit better?
I mean, they're still going to be in a school environment, and
but it's not. Most of the time, they don't really do anime in college, so it'd be kind of neat if they did it in college.
Yeah, because.
But that's the only things I really hope they do in season 2.
Why does anime love the high school?
I think it's because like kids are still kind of growing a bit, so they kind of like wanted to develop. They wanted like the plot to grow with the characters.
Okay. Also, one more thing.
Okay. Last thing, and then we have to do our rating.
I'm glad that it didn't, like, because so many people, like, you know, who didn't actually see the show were like, oh, this is just furry porn. And it's like, it's not furry porn. This is rated TVMA, but the fact of the matter is that
they don't have sex, and if they have sex,
there are
see it.
There are a few sexual situations, and yes, there are a few uncomfortable situations that the show, like, you know, briefly touches on. But
it's not to the point.
It's not to the point of where you're seeing two animals like fucking on screen. It's
but
like
you're not.
They're not. It's really not. It's just more about like, you know. It's more about, like, consensual, like, relationship and consensual, like, you know. It's more consensual boundaries is what I would say that it is. It's more about a, like, I would say more of, like, a touching feeling, but it's not the touching feeling of like sex. It's more of the touching feeling of like
being close to somebody,
being close and gentle to somebody. That's more of like it, and I hope we get that more in season 2, because that's more shit that I just really like, and I think like if they played more to that instead of like full on like full like, you know, I guess. I don't want this to become porn.
They're not.
I really don't want this.
Look, if they're not going to make it porn. I guarantee. If they're going to make it porn, that we're not going to be able to see it on Netflix. I'm gonna say that because Netflix is probably not going to put porn on there. It's a Netflix anime series. It literally says in the title, Netflix original anime series. So if they're going to do porn, they're not going to put it in there.
You realize that Netflix does not have its ADN guidelines.
They're not going to put porn on there. Come on. Be realistic. They're not going to do that.
I get it, but the fact is that this is rated TVMA. So, I don't know.
Just because it's rated TVMA doesn't mean they're going to do that. Come on. BoJack didn't do that, and that was TVMA. Right? Isn't it the same rating as BoJack?
Yeah.
See? BoJack didn't do that either.
I know that. But I would rather I would rather it be about, like, you know, I would rather for it to be about, like, I guess the emotional connection.
Yeah.
Rather than something that is, like, just full on sex.
Okay, we get it. Anyway, I'm sorry if I keep, like, distracting us and all that stuff. It's just, like, I'm trying not to make this too long.
I know.
I'm trying so hard not to make this too long, but it's like, it's already 50 minutes!
My rating, it's okay.
What do you give it out of 10?
Probably not. It's probably not it's probably not aiming for something of my target demographic.
Yeah.
It's probably not for me, but I'll still watch it because...
You want to know what happens.
No, it's just because it has furries in it.
That's literally the only reason? That's literally the only reason you're going to watch it?
And I want it to get better.
Okay.
I want it to get better because I see the good elements in it. So I want it to get better. And I want it to not, I guess, fall into, like, the monologues as much.
Yeah. So what do you give it out of 10? Let's do it out of 10 rating. What do you give it out of 10?
Well, my rating hasn't still changed from the last time we talked about it, so I would give it a 6.
You give it a 6 out of 10?
Yes, it needs improvement, and I think that with those types of improvements,
if
it wasn't, like, scattered brain all over the place, it would get
a whole lot better.
better.
Okay, for me, I would probably give it, like, a 7.5. Like, I feel like it's not the best anime, yet it's not the worst anime ever.
What is the worst anime you've ever seen?
I'm not going to talk about it right now. But, because we already made this long enough.
Probably something fucked up, but...
Anyway, okay? Anyway, I will talk about it later, but not on the podcast.
Okay.
I will tell you later.
Fine.
Anyway.
After the podcast.
After the podcast, I'll talk about it. Anyway, I give it a 7.5. I feel like it needs to be improved a little bit.
Well, what are the things that you want to see improved?
Now that you mentioned the monologuing, I can't get over that now. You were the one that mentioned it. So I feel like they need to improve on the monologuing.
Because whenever here's a fun thing about us. Whenever we sit down, we don't normally, like, the most that I will geek about, like, or just, like, make criticisms at whenever we sit down and watch something is, like, normally how good it looks.
Or how bad it looks.
Well, normally how good it looks or how bad it looks, how it looks in general. Or, like, I guess I will laugh sometimes. Yeah. And then I will think about it afterwards, and then we'll have, like, a critical discussion about it.
Yeah.
I don't really care about making, like, criticisms on it or jabs on it when I'm watching something.
Yeah, I'd rather do it, like, when it's done.
Yeah, I'd rather do that. So, I guess it's kind of weird to hear you say that, like, now that I mentioned the monologuing, it kind of got under your skin as well.
Yeah. Okay, so that's something I kind of want to improve on in season 2. I want to see Legoshi's backstory a bit in season 2, because we kind of already get a brief thing. We get a brief backstory for, like, Lewis and Haru. We don't get anything for Legoshi. Mm-hmm. So it's like... Also,
and you know what? I honestly wouldn't mind the fact that if they kept his backstory, like, because I know already, like, what they're gonna say. They're gonna say he was a loner. He was a loner.
That can't be the only quality he has. He can't be a fucking loner, like, the entire time. There has to be a reason why he was a loner.
Well, they alluded to the fact that he had, like, dark, fantasies. Or they alluded to the fact that he had dark thoughts in his head.
I want to know why. Like, I want to know the reasons why. That's the thing I want to see. Like, the whys.
Normally a traumatic event will cause that.
I just want to know what this said traumatic event is. Okay. Anyway. That's our talk on...
6 and...
A 7.5.
7.5. So that would round up to about... a 7.
Yeah, let's just say it's a 7.
7, 6.5.
5.
Five,
Let's say
8.
6.5 to 7. Let's do that. On our, 10-point scale. Please don't do that. I can't. Okay. So that's that. Okay. That's our podcast on Beastars.
Beastars.
So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope eventually we can cover more anime on here. But I kind of want to ease it.
Well, what's the next one you want to, cover?
Does it have to be anime?
I'm talking about the next anime you want to cover. Not the next show, because the next show is going to be totally something different. But what would be the next anime?
I don't know. I have no idea. I guess if I had
the most that I'm interested in right now is
Agretsuko.
No.
I want to know what
the anime that I haven't watched that you have watched, and the most I'm interested right now is probably the 3D Lupin movie. Lupin. I don't know how.
Lupin the Third.
Yeah, Lupin the Third.
Okay, that's something I definitely want to show you.
I would love to see that movie because I saw that.
Anime wise, I want to see the next season of Agretsuko whenever the fuck that comes out.
Yeah.
I want to see the second season of Beastars. I wouldn't mind showing you Lupin the Third because I actually really do like Lupin the Third.
Yeah.
And I feel like you'd like that.
I feel like pair Beastars to Agretsuko. I feel like
we should do a video on that.
Well, the thing is, I feel like I have more of a connection to Agretsuko than I do Beastars.
Yeah.
I feel like that handles a lot more the drama. Maybe because I'm around Agretsuko season, so we're around the same
age as Agretsuko.
Yeah, and we can relate to it more because we're living that exact same life right now.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
I feel
we can talk about that.
I know, but I feel like, comparatively, which show would you want to watch more?
Probably Agretsuko.
Yeah, I think we both want to probably watch that more. I kind of want to watch it right now.
Anyway, we can watch it later. Anyway, that's our talk on Beastars. We hope you guys enjoyed it. And this is Maui.
And I'm JC.
And we are out.
Because Mari needs to go and eat some crackers.
You should.